Hello everyone, welcome to another Random Flow GE update. So there's been a few updates from the last video, and mainly it was to remove the confusion with the blend parameter or property, and also the balance property, which is the detail now, and it's renamed to detail. So from before, um, it's there's a confusing mix using blend, which is supposed to have like more of layer one with zero blend and layer two with one blend. I've also removed the percentage type for the blend, and just reverted it back to just using like factor or none. So it's basically instead of being 0% to 100%, it's like 0 to 0, 0.1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to 1 float. Okay. Um, uh, so right now it works correctly. So from before, there's been like, even if you use 0, there's going to be a mix of layer 2 in there. So right now there's just going to be completely like layer 1 on 0 blend. And in layer 3, you can, in 1, you can see that there's just pure layer 2, which is using too much of the vision for the final detailing to work properly. So let's lessen that. There we go. So right now it works correctly. 0.5 is a good mix a bit of the two of them. And of course you can play around with their mixing using the seed value. And I've also fixed the balance, as I've said before. Now it's detail, and it's now 0 to 100%, meaning that, so from before you have like 0.5 to 1, and there's a confusing mix about that. So using like 50 to 40, you get like more of layer 1, 60 to 50 to 60, you get more of layer 2. Right now it's that method is removed in favor of just simple 0 to 100, meaning that 1% you have all of the detail you can get with the subdivision, the main sub D and layer 1, layer 2 subdivision, versus zero detail, which is like very the paneling algorithm in the GNode setup will just be using just a few lines to or edges to split the mesh, whereas using 100% detail will give you a lot of busy areas, and you can mix between them using 0 on on one of the layers here, and also probably reducing the main sub D to 0 as well. And of course, besides that, we have the offset, where you can control which of the faces are offset using this slider here, which is offset faces. Okay, so we have that for the details. So it's now less confusing, and it'll be much easier to explain in the documentation also. When you use it, it will be much easier to use. Okay, now also we have I've added in random vertex color, and between the islands or the panel islands, it was randomized between color 1 and color 2. And we have the distribution, meaning the amount of color 1 and color 2, or amount of a panel islands that is using color 1 and color 2. And we have the seed value to randomize their pattern. So color here, unfortunately, the color attribute cannot be created automatically using GeoNode, so you have to create that yourself. So if you have your hands on the add-on, you go to data. Where's data? There we go. And in color attributes, you just have to press this one. Click on plus, then hover over the name the name of the color attribute you created. Press Control C, and then in the GeoNode setup, in here, press Control V to paste the color attribute. Now in your shader setup, you need to add the attribute node and then write the the name of the color attribute that you created here, which matches the name here, the geonode setup or property. And then you can use the color output to plug it to the color nodes, color mix nodes. Then if we render this, just gonna fix the, there we go. So, what am I just thinking of something? When you turn this off, when you have the attribute um, color set for your shader, when you turn this off, or in my shader at least, when I turn this off, you see the black color. That's because I'm using color attribute. You just have to remove it, and you're back to normal. Whereas if you use vertex color, you have to plug this in. Okay, so it's a bit of a hassle just doing all this stuff. I wish Geonode could just automate that. So if it doesn't exist, just virtually just, since you can create this modifier, I think you can easily create like virtual color attribute. I don't know. Okay, so distribution 0 is purely color 1, like the blend here between layer 1, layer 2, mesh detail, and distribution 0.5 is between color 1, color 2, and distribution 1 is all color 2. So you can mix between that and also play around with seed value. So this is great for creating shade for your initial graded or graduated gradual. Wait a minute. So yeah, like sort of like a gradient for your texture. So this is your gradient, and then you add another color mix node here for your actual texture, for your grunge texture. So you can control the values here to make it less, to have it have less effect. So this mimics the random vertex color node, but only basically, since a random vertex color node is a node operator in random flow original is capable of much more complicated tasks. You can of course have gradation. That's the word I'm looking for. Gradation between the randomized colors, and you can also have like offset between islands. So you can have like 1, 2, 3, 4 islands, for example, and then they have the same color, and then the next one will have a different color. So you can offset the randomized color for the islands using the random vertex color operator in random flow. Whereas in Geonode, no, there's no. I think, yeah, I think it's possible, but based on my experience with it right now, it's not. I can't do it yet. So maybe in the future, once I have more experience with Geonode, I can add it. So this is our ship. It's becoming more and more. It's becoming more and more like the old school random flow. Before it got this really complicated solvers. It used to have only the walk solver, and it kind of looked like this, especially with random loop extrude. So before random panels was created, random loop extrude was the first operator to actually exist in the random flow original, and it kind of looks like this. The result kind of looks like this. So random panel was created for, of course, to have the merge panel toggle on and to address the needs of the 3D printing community. So you can merge the panel details on the source mesh and have it actually printed. Okay, because random loop extrude and most of the operators here are non-destructive. Not essentially modular, but non-destructive. Okay. Um, let's play around with a ship. Whoops, that's the color. I'm going to toggle on the extra offset, which is already toggled on. Okay, just to create the uh, spikes. Oops, too much. 24. Oh, there's only the value. Change it to integer. So we'll probably just use one. Layer will set value. I'll probably change it back to float. I'm using integer right now for this, just to be more um, sensitive. So you can use zero point 0.5 or 1.5 and not exactly be stuck with literal uh, ones and twos. What's the number called? Yeah, you can really do. Yeah, I should have changed it to float. There we go. So we have the random vertex color, and we can also randomize the shading. We can use smooth shading for some island and flat shading for some island. So it creates this variation in the look. You get this. So when you finally have your parameters set, then you can, of course, just play around with the universal seed, random seed, which is right here, right here. Yeah, I should have changed it to float because 1% is actually using too much of the vision. 1% for the extra offset. I'll change it to float later on. Okay, let's look for. I think this is good, and then just play around with the extra offset. Okay. So when you have like too much, also the main weakness of the GNO setup is this. Okay. When you have, it's really great to just start with a really low poly base like this, and if you choosing array or mirror. Okay, so at level 0, it's like that. Or at level 1, main subdivision, it's like that without any changes to the topology of the cube. If we increase this, so you get more islands. And even if you use 0 detail, you're still gonna get this really small islands. So that's the difference between the Geno setup and Random Flow, the original. With because of the Python solver, it's using Python, of course, and it's got a lot more firepower that department. So, for example, if Random Flow is using this kind of topology, it can create bigger islands because of the way the Python walking algorithm works, and not just be stuck with this really tiny, especially with number, I think. Will not be stuck with this. It can actually grow the size of its island. So that's the difference between this and the Flow original. You need to start with, or you need to just keep the overall profile of your model. Then just play around with try and really lowering your base count or base topology or resolution count. So if in this case we're using like main sub the zero and the base mesh is having a resolution like this at the start, you can see that even if we set everything to zero, you can never really get a really big islands for more relaxed sections of the mesh. So you need to, at least for now. So in the future, if I figure out a way to make the algorithm create bigger islands, then of course again it will be added to the script. I'm gonna use more of layer one and detail. I'm gonna reduce to something like this. So that's the one of the few weak points of this setup for now. At least it will grow the same way as random float original grew. And of course, I get more experience with Python. It gets more. Get the random flow get better throughout the years, and it will be the same for this version of the. Of course, yeah, I should set this back to float for more control. So with annoying thing with using float here is you're stuck with the with like 0.0000 number of zeros after the dot. Whereas in Python, you can change the parameter to display like only 10 or 20. So the UI looks kind of neat. And in this case, the sometimes if you're using a percentage, for example, it displays like three zeros or four zeros after the. So it's kind of ugly. I have a bit of an OCD, so kind of annoying. This is the first was the earlier model that we've demo, and just set like here and oh no, I have to set it on the so but I can show you that yet. Okay, let's go back to this one. Oh, actually looks really the controls are much better now. And it's less confusing. So zero for layer one, one for layer two, and point 0.5 for mixing them perfectly. And detail zero is like less panel islands, and 100% is more panel islands based on the resolution of that you've given the or that you've assigned here. Just 10% for me. Shading. There we go. You have a completely different design just by changing the seed value over the offset. Change the angle of the light to have more dramatic preview of the mesh. Here we go. Well, let's play around with the color for this one and change this to something like more of color 2. Optimize the position of the colors. There you go. This bits of orange, and you can also set this to bluish. Yep. Now we have a ship. So I'm just there's also this also works on other designs, so not just spaceships. Just to show you, you can use this for other things as well. Okay, so I think this is it for the video. I'm not gonna tally any longer, and I think this is since the blend and the detail aspects. I think this would merit transitioning to Python, meaning that uh, I'll turn this into an add-on and use Python to initiate the GeoNode setup and make it easier for you to use it on objects around the scene. Okay, so yeah, that's it for this video. If you have any questions, use the comment section below or the links in the description. Subscribe and hit notify. Thank you for watching and have a nice day.